Now, I'm delighted today to be joined by the manager of Treaty United Football Club. That is, of course, Tommy Barrett, and Treaty fresh off the back of their first game in senior men's football last night, a 1-1 draw against Waterford, which on paper looks like a very, very decent result. And we'll speak to Tommy about that now. Tommy, how are you keeping this morning?
I'm good, Kieran. Thanks yourself.
As I said, your first run out there last night, Joel Coolstrain with the first senior men's goal in the history of the club. A great moment for everyone as well. You got a presentation before the game from Kevin Sheedy. So fill us in on last night and how it all went.
Yeah, look, I suppose it's a bit strange during these COVID times, and you drive into. We played in the Waterford Institute of Technology, and it's a fine setup down there and everything, but you're spread out over two dressing rooms, and it's very strange. You nearly don't know what to do, with your team talk and stuff like that. So we just kind of got out in the pitch and did it there, and but last night, yourself, pre-season friendlies were about getting minutes in the legs, so that's all that was about last night. Yeah, we got a presentation. It was nice, it was nice to see Kevin Sheedy. He's a nice man, and Mike Newell. They're lovely guys, and I'm sure they're in addition to the league, so they'll do quite well, I'm sure. But yeah, I think it was Waterford, they're a great club with a great tradition, and it's good that they acknowledge that it was our first game and that. So, and the fans will appreciate that, and the board and the committee, so it's great for them.
Brilliant stuff. We had you on the podcast just towards the end of last season. We were chatting about the first division, and at that stage when we asked you about the possibility of Treat coming into the league, you kind of felt that maybe it'd be next season. So have you been surprised by the fact you've got in this season, or after we spoke, was there signs that the progression was starting to really pick up and it was a very realistic goal to get into the 2021 League of Ireland season?
Yeah, well, the board were fairly confident, but the longer it went on, when you're not getting anything by the 2nd of February, I thought, it's gone on really long. And then, obviously I think it was the 22nd of February by the time we found out. So it wasn't giving you much time. And the more I thought of it, I think, a vacuum was created because you're not told anything, by anyone. And there's no, and I don't know, and I don't fully understand the process. I'm not hammering anyone here in the FAI or anything like that, or anyone else for that matter. I'm sure they have a difficult job to do, but I suppose I can only worry about my job, and it's made my job really difficult. Like we had our first training session when some clubs had 2 pre-season friendlies done, so that's not good for the league. It's not good for the overall image of the league and all those things. So we just need to get that right. Again, this is not an attack on anyone, but I think, we need to get that right going forward now. It's done now and we have it done, but going forward, you can't let it happen again, things like that, So personally, look, I don't see any reason why you couldn't have, 11 or 12 teams. I know they were trying to get Dublin County in the field last minute, and that was unfortunate, but I think the more teams, the merrier for me. It brings more fans. It gives more young lads an opportunity to play in a higher level. Because we don't have a reserve league down here, I think, we should be looking at getting more teams into the first division for sure.
That's a big discussion at the moment. How do we expand the League of Ireland and spread it more geographically as well around the country, so that the areas that aren't represented at the moment become represented? But when people see the example maybe of Treaty and the fact he only had, I'm not sure how many days or how many weeks to set up a squad, it's a little bit off-putting probably. If there's clubs, we're always talking about, there's clubs in the Leinster Senior League that might be able to make that jump. They're probably looking at that and saying, we go up, we mightn't get that much time to prepare. We'll take a couple of hammerings as a result. It's a little bit off-putting perhaps.
Yeah, I think it is. We got the news on the Saturday, and I had to have my first training session. Well, it was trial/training. It was a training session because I'd identified like 33 players, and we had that on Tuesday. And I had to have the squad signed by 11 o'clock on Thursday. So, it's giving you essentially 2 days and now 4 weeks to prepare. But again, look, it's done now. And in many ways, it condensed it. So you had to make the decisions and we made the most of it. But I suppose, look, it has to get better. And I'm sure it will. Look, I'm sure the lads, Jonathan Hill is in, and he'll have time to look at that. And, and in fairness, the lads in the league department are, they're fresh enough in as well. So, and I'm delighted in. As I said, it's unfair for me to hammer anyone on it because, I don't know the ins and outs, but certainly it has to be looked at. And in future, it can't happen again, I would say. And then you talk about the Leinster senior leagues and the Munster senior leagues. You know we don't have a pyramid system, but we have to come up with something different. You know, I still think we have a bit of a GA mindset when it comes to, it's kind of parochial at times when it comes to teams, and they're happy to stay in junior, and that's fine, but we have to get a better intermediate level, I think, and connect it. Can we create the Munster Senior League is really Cork teams, so can we create an North Munster Senior League and a South Munster Senior League? And the Leinster Senior League seems to be doing okay, but where do they go next? And can we look at, joining all those together, and if teams want to go in, can they progress? So because I think we need some sort of system like that. Because a lot of these clubs are run very well, and they're playing the junior clubs and the Leinster senior clubs and Munster senior clubs are run very well, but they might only get in their league like 5 or 6 tough games a year, and they might need to progress on. I'm not sure about Leinster Senior, I don't know much about it, but certainly in junior in Limerick, I know, and in South Tip and Clare, there's only a couple of really good teams where they get really tough matches, throughout the season, 3 or 4 games. So they might benefit from a kind of an North Munster league or something like that, But I don't know the answers. But it certainly has to be discussed. I think we can't just keep doing the same thing all the time. I could be way off there, but we have to try something different, or at least sit down and think about doing something differently, I think.
No, I don't think you're way off. You're making very similar points there that Conor Hoey made the other day when we had him on the show here, and he was very much along the same kind of thinking as yourself. So it's a discussion that needs to be had, and hopefully it will be had now that there is a new regime in at the FAI. Let's move on and talk about the squad you did manage to put together. I was very impressed. Such short notice. You've got some names in there that would be very familiar to League of Ireland fans. We'll start with the goalkeeper, Tyg Ryan. He's obviously been with Cork and with Galway. Charlie Fleming, loads of experience in the first division with Cove. You've got Mark Ludden and Conor Melody there as well. And of course, Joel Coonstrain, who got the goal last night. He was playing with Shamrock Rovers only not so long ago. So you've done quite well overall, I think.
Yeah, and we got Jack Lynch and Joe Collins. They played with Galway last year as well, and they're Clare lads. They're both based, Jack is based locally. Joe is working in Galway at the moment, but we have that bit of experience, and even the other lads that we brought back in I had to go with lads I knew. There was a lot of lads I had ex-19s and ex-first division players with me with Limerick previously, so they have a bit of experience as well. They're all very young, but the likes of Mark Ludden and those lads, and we got Dean George at the last minute as well. So
yes,
he's travelling from Dublin, but look, all these lads are travelling and they want to play and they want to be there. Like, it's probably going to cost them money, a lot of the time. So with the travelling and that, so fair play to them, and they're the type of lads we want, hungry lads that want to be there. So first year, that's what we're looking at. It's about we've said it numerous times now on the board. Have said it's about sustainability and growing a squad and doing things on a tight budget, and we grow the club before we probably start looking at success on the pitch, for example. But in saying that, like, we're not going to make excuses here. We're going to go in and give it our best shot now. It is what it is. That's the hand we're dealt. The minute you cross that line, you have to try your best and give your best effort. But we seem to have lads that will put in a shift. Now we're young, and our starting point is behind other teams for sure, but that doesn't mean we can't go out and give it a go, and we will do that. That's for sure. We won't be fun wanting that way, I think.
One player you mentioned there, Dean George, I know there was a lot of chat about how he ended up at Treaty. We'll not go into all of that, but he's a player that really caught my eye with that loan last season. We had him on the podcast before the FAI Cup semi-final against the Dundalk, but he was really impressive, and another really good signing for yourselves there.
Yeah, and again last night, like, he was very good. He works really hard. He's a hard working player. He's a grafter. He's a quiet lad. He's a nice lad. I spoke to him on the phone, and he was keen to come down. Excuse me. I rang him on a Wednesday night, and I said, look, you have 24 hours to. Sorry, I didn't even say that. I said, get back to me in the morning. And I thought we could only sign 25 at that stage. so he was my last man in, you know, and I was kind of telling the lads, it was so crazy. Like I was telling some guys, because I was waiting for other lads to come back, I was saying, look lads, I'm going to sign you. I don't like it, but I might have to rip up your farm, you know, some of the younger lads, because I thought I was on 25, because the women's league, you can only sign 25. And I only found out the last minute that we could sign more. So it was like, I had to ring Dean that morning. I said, look, I just went with another lad, Matt McKevitt, because I hadn't heard back from you. And he was in class, he was teaching class. He said, Tommy, what can I, you know, like I really was going to just ring you and sign. So I was like, all right, look, leave it with me, you know. I was like, I was going to have to ring a young lad, but I had him kind of pre-warned, but you still don't like doing it, you know, the young lad. And it's just the situation you were put in. It was no good for anyone. And then we got the call and said, no, we can sign. That's only for the women. We can sign enough. So it was like, that was at 3:00 or something. So, all right, Dean, you're in. You know? and it saved me then telling the young lad that he was cut. But, you know, it was it was a hectic week, to say the least. But but Dean is a great lad, and I think he'll do well for us.
And of course, you've got the added challenge at the moment. There is no 19s football, and there's no sight of it restarting really for the moment. So you can't have a look at what younger players have trials or whatever way you want to go about it. But you can't just look and see if there's a couple of young players that might be able just to step up to first team level, be in around the squad, and maybe pick up a couple of minutes here and there.
Yeah, you know, ideally I wouldn't have signed 26. You know, it's hard to manage 26 lads, but look, we signed a lot of good lads. I don't think there will be, you know, they're not a difficult group to manage. I don't see them that way, but 26, you know, is a lot to sign. But I don't think we were left with a choice, shall I say, because, you know, without any 19s, you can't take a risk, particularly with COVID and injuries and lads working and can't travel. Like last night, we only 17 available, so it just goes to show that we needed to sign that 25 or 26 because of the lack of a 19s team. Normally, I would sign 18 to 22 max and then work off your 19s, you know. And if there were a good 19 squad, you might only sign 16, you know, to 18. So I think that it's not great for the young lads in the region, obviously. So we need to get an underage system in as quick as possible, for sure.
You're coming into the league as a new entity, obviously. Last season, we've seen Shamrock Rovers 2 come into the league as a new side. And obviously, they were a lot younger, but they did quite well. What's the goal for Treaty this season? Would you like to match maybe the points total that the Rovers were able to tally up last year? Or is there a goal in mind? It's probably hard for you to gauge where you are at the moment compared to other sides that, as you said, had 2 pre-season games under their belt while you were still ringing players.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to set any goals. We're going to take it game by game. I know it's an old cliche, but if we set goals, we're setting limits, and you know, we're limiting ourselves. So we just go and take it game by game. You know, I used to set goals in the past, but I think I've kind of gone away from that now because, as I said, it kind of limits players a bit. You know, they're looking, going, yeah, you get 3 points here, or we get to, just say we put a target of 20 points or something. They get there and they take the foot off the gas and stuff like that. You know, so I just don't think it works. I just think you have to, and I know people are blue in the face from managers saying it, but you have to take it game by game and target a result in every game if you can get it. Now, obviously, look, you're going to win and lose, but lose games, obviously, people say they're winners and all that, but as long as you're competitive, you know, you have to win or lose. One team wins, one team loses, or you draw. So you just get out there and give it your best shot, and no manager is going to, you know, is going to be too upset. They're going to be upset losing, of course you are, but you're not going to be as upset when guys are giving their all on the pitch, and that's all we're looking for this year, for sure. And that's our starting base. Like our starting base now is just to get the lads fit, because that's all we can do. We you know, it's going to be very difficult for us to work on tactics and team shape and all that kind of stuff, because we only have 4 days a week with them. We've 3, and those 4 days are really on conditioning, with conditioning and getting them up to match speed as quick as possible, you know, and without getting them to break down, because we have to be conscious of that as well with the load that we're going to give them. They've been off so long that a lot of lads could break down. So yeah, we're just going to I'm just going to give it a go, Kieran. I think I was talking to Hendo about it there recently, like, and he was saying, and he said a good one there that, look, you've nothing to lose and everything to gain. I think he's right,
And it's great to see the club getting so much attention online and on social media. And there seems to be a lot of Limerick FC supporters who have rode in now behind the Treaty United project. So I'm sure when fans can eventually get back in, you're looking forward to seeing some old faces, but some new faces as well.
Yeah, I heard the Blue Army are renaming themselves. All right, yeah, the Treaty Stoners.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't think they are, but yeah, they've jumped in. Yeah, look, they're good lads, and they'll I'm sure they'll be banging the drum and supporting us. As Big Darren Noon will be banging that drum and wrecking our heads and looking for me to be sacked after 4 or 5 games back into the ground. So, but I wouldn't have it any other way. As I said last week, Kevin Kiley was slagging me on Twitter, and I said I was getting a bit uneasy because he gave me a compliment. So of signing the squad so quick. So. Those boys will keep you on your toes, all right. And but look, there's more than that. A lot of the other fans and the supporters, and we've got a lot of the former Limerick players, like Kevin Fitzpatrick and Tommy Lynch, and those lads have put a video together last week as well, and given their support to it as well. And that means a lot too. So that's great.
Fantastic stuff. One more question for myself, and then I'm going to pass you on a couple of fans' messages. I'm sure you're looking forward to that. But look, obviously, you had some great times in League of Ireland previously as a manager, and you had some very, very difficult and challenging times. Was there ever a doubt in your mind that you'd take over this job as Treaty United manager, given some of the difficult moments you've had in the past?
Yeah, well, look, it's a learning experience. That's all you can put it down to, really. It was a difficult couple of years, yeah. But, no, there wasn't. I was always going to take it. And look, this is going to be a difficult job as well. There's like, from a results point of view, it's, there is, as you know, Kieran, like most of the teams that get promoted are challenging now, or are in the Premier League in Ireland, even have big budgets or decent budgets. If you look at the league this year, a lot of the teams are full-time. There's a few of them full-time anyway, and certainly the other teams have really strengthened the likes of Athlone and those teams. So we're going to find it tough, but we got to take that challenge. We got to face it head on. I'm not afraid to fail. I think if you are, you're not going to, you're not going to get out of bed in the morning. So you have to give it a go, and you can't have that fear in you. You just got to go and try, do your best. And if you do your best, again, as you said, it's very similar to the players. You put your heart and soul into it. And if you fail, you fail. But again, what are we going to be judged on? Like, are we looking to be, getting promoted in the next 2 or 3 years? Realistically, we're not. We got to build the whole club and build it from the bottom up and start producing players here locally. That's so important. And it's so important to me, as a Limerick person, that we start producing players in this region. And to be fair, we have a few lads playing around the league now that have came through the system. And in fairness to the FEI, a very good thing that has come in the last 10 years, I believe, is the League of Ireland underage, and that has started to produce players, and certainly in this region as well it has, So I think we need to grow that and expand that. Of course, it can get better, particularly from an infrastructure point of view. And funding and facilities and top coaches and strength and conditioning and all those things, people being looked after better. But certainly that's what we want to be and what we want to do,
Yeah, what you've just said there about the region producing their own talent links in nicely with one of the first fan questions we've had in from Liam O'Grady. He wants to know, do you envisage full-time football returning to Limerick in the next 10 years? He says it's sad to see the best talent such as Lee Lynch, Shane Duggan, Will Fitzgerald, Killian Broder and Carlo Sullivan having to look outside the city for their football. So as you said, the region has produced footballers, but unfortunately they've had to look elsewhere. It's a little bit similar to Galway as well. There's loads of examples up there too.
Yeah, in the next 10 years, probably, yeah, possibly. But I think we need to be, we're amateur this year. Can we get, a part-time professional next year or two? And until more money comes into the league through, the FEI, through the government, through TV deals, through sponsorship deals, I don't think we can go full time. I don't think it's realistic. Like the last 2 times a team from this region got promoted were full time, and were practically full time anyway, and certainly had really big budgets with players from a lot of players from outside the region. So I think our aim now in the next few years will be part time and lads working, but part time professional. In the next couple of years. But I think until we get the whole league infrastructure and the whole league right, I think full time professionalism is a bit off yet.
The lads at Domestic Ireland, who do a great job promoting the league, they want to know how important is it to have League of Ireland football return to Limerick?
Yeah, it's very important, and you touched on it at the top of the show there with we need regionalised teams, because it gives you it expands football to different areas. I think it was missed a lot in this region, senior football. It was 83 years, I think, or so unbroken of senior soccer in the city and in this region. So it's massively important, and you can see that by reactions on social media and the likes, that it means a lot to a lot of people, particularly in this time, with the pandemic and everything. People can't get out and about and can't go to games, and there's a lot of people that just get fed up of watching the Premier League and the Championship in England. They want to see the local lads. Yeah, they want to see local players and people they can identify with. And we know that as a core group of fans, in League of Ireland fans throughout the country, and they want to see local lads and playing ball. So I think it's hugely important.
At D16 dude wants to know, there's been, I suppose, issues with relations in terms of Limerick with junior football and whoever the senior League of Ireland club was at the time. There's been lots of schisms there. Do you feel Treaty United will be able to work better in the community with those clubs?
Yeah, look, I think we've got a lot of junior players in during the off season. During now the 2 or 3 days that we had, but most of the lads, in fairness, have come through the underage system in League of Ireland, and it's a benefit for the junior clubs, for lads that don't make it out of 19s or whatever, to go back to them anyway. So I think the relationships aren't too bad down here, as far as I can see. Most clubs and anyone that's involved in football in this country, and we need to get this mindset and not have that parochial mindset about winning cups and winning leagues. It's great to have that, and you do that at junior level, but we should be looking at the player first and what's best for them. And playing at the next level is best for them, because if you're playing in junior, with all due respect, you're not probably going to be picked up at 18 or 19 years of age by a professional team in England or elsewhere. But if you're playing League of Ireland First Division and Premier Division in this country, you're likely to, well, not likely, but it's definitely more of a possibility that you're going to get, a professional contract elsewhere, and you have to play at the next level, and you have to gradually go up those levels. And that's what we spoke about earlier as well. We need to look at the bigger picture and what's best for the players. And if individuals want to better themselves, even from my point of view, like, we're amateur at the moment. And if a lad comes to me in the morning and says that he has a Premier League contract, in League of Ireland Premier Division contract, he's got to go. He's got to go and do what's best for him. And ultimately, that's what's best for football in this country, because we want players that are progressing that way and playing at the highest level, so we can get the best team, the best national team we can, essentially, and that's what it should be about. That's what we should all be looking for, is bettering football in this country. And we can do that by looking at the individuals first, I think. And in fairness, most clubs, we haven't had any issues. The lads signed the forms, the transfer forms, and it was, we'd like to have good relationships, and I'm sure the clubs would love to have good relationships with us as well. And we'll definitely work on that and work with all the clubs in all the leagues in the region.
One more from Liam O'Grady before we go. Which of the Munster Senior League players are you most excited about seeing stepping up to League of Ireland level?
Yeah, the Munster Senior League lads, I think we've only signed one Munster Senior League, and that was Anto from Ringmahon, Anto O'Donnell, and Anto's League of Ireland experience with Limerick and Cove in the past. So, again, I knew him. There was a few other lads knocking about that, I didn't really know that well, so I couldn't get him in. Not at this time anyway, but we'll have a look at him in the next few months, excuse me, in July maybe when we can. I think that question might be around some junior lads as well. We have a couple of lads, junior lads out of Killarney Celtic, Shane Loughton, Matt Keane, who would have had him with Limerick under 19s a few years back. Like, Matt has come back in really good condition. Shane Loughton is always in good condition. And I think Matt can step up to this level. I think Shane can as well. But I think, it might take Shane a bit more time. But definitely I think Matt can hit the ground running. And then of the other junior lads, Clyde O'Connell, he played again with Limerick 19s, and Sean McSweeney, they came from Fairview there recently as well. And they've done, they'll do okay as well. And Sean Gearns, they'll do very well actually, I think, both of them. And Sean Gearns, I think, is an Irish junior international and an Irish Armed Forces international coming from St. Michael's. I think he's a really good player, and he's maybe one to watch too,
Tommy, you've been absolutely fantastic with your time. Thanks so much for speaking with us today. And on behalf of everyone at Between the Stripes, we just want to wish you luck for the new First Division season. And it's fantastic. We'll be able to watch the games now on League of Ireland TV as well.
Thanks, Kieran.
Thanks, Tommy.
Good to see you. Cheers. Thanks, lads.